So your test tomorrow is on 4.1 and 4.2. So the first part, we have to identify transformations. We've done this before in our absolute value graphs. And now we're going to do it in our quadratic graphs. So what is this 1/2? 1/2 multiplied outside is a compression. What about +2 on the inside? Left 2. One way to remember it, the other class asked, like, what's an easy way to remember plus means left? So just think like plus, the F in left looks like a plus, and the T in left looks like a plus. So it's like plus, plus, plus. All right, and then +3? Up 3. All right, number 2. What does this minus the negative outside do? A reflection. Anytime you multiply by a negative, it's a reflection. What about -3? Right 3. And +1? Up 1. Awesome. Does the 2 mean anything? No, because the 2 just means that it's a quadratic, so all of these are going to have that little exponent of a 2. All right, for number 3, what does that 2 being multiplied outside do? A stretch. It's a stretch because 2 is greater than 1. What about -4 on the inside? Right 4. And -4 on the outside? Down 4. All right, 4. What does the negative outside do? Reflection. What about the 2 being multiplied outside? Stretch. What about +3 on the inside? Left 3. And -3 on the outside? Down 3. Any questions there? Okay, 2 more just like those. What does the 1/2 on the outside do? Compression. It's a compression because it's less than 1. What about +4 on the inside? Left 4. And +3? Up 3. And then last one, number 6. What does the 3 on the outside do? Stretch. What about -4? Right 4. And the +4? Up 4. So those you just have to remember your transformations. Any questions there? All right. So next we are sketching the graph of our function in vertex form. So our vertex form formula is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So this is our vertex form. The vertex comes from the h and k, so what you're adding inside and what you're adding outside. And then our axis of symmetry is going to be x is equal to h. So whatever the first number is in your vertex, you just repeat it for the axis of symmetry. And don't forget, what's the one thing we always have to remember to do to h? Change the sign of h. Super important. You always change the sign of h. So for number 7, our vertex. It's what we're adding inside and what we're adding outside. So what's our vertex? -4, comma, -3. Perfect. What's our axis of symmetry? Awesome. X equals -4. It always repeats your first number. So let's graph those two things first. We go to the left 4 and down to -3. So that would be our first point. And our axis of symmetry is just the dotted line right through it. Does our graph open up or open down here?
Down. Up.
It opens up, and how do we know that it opens up? Remember, open up means that it's a smiley face, so it's positive. But what being positive tells us that it opens up? The A. So whatever we multiply outside. So we're not multiplying anything outside here. There's no negative, so that means it's positive. So it opens up. So if our graph opens up, is the vertex going to be at the maximum or minimum? The minimum. So I can cross out maximum. And what's my minimum value? -3. So it's always whatever your K is. What's my domain? All real numbers. Your domain is always all real numbers. And then what's my range? Awesome. -3 to infinity. So remember, if it opens up, so I'll make a little note up here for you guys. If it opens up, it's from whatever your K is to infinity. If it opens down, it points to -infinity and ends at whatever your K is. So these are the two different possibilities for your range. Any questions here? All right, last thing we need to do is finish graphing it. How can I find another point on my graph? I don't want to plug in 0. What's a better option to plug in?
3.
Why would we plug in 3?
Because it's smaller than 4.
So we want to plug in something close to our axis of symmetry. And our axis of symmetry is -4. So what's a number close to -4? -3. So let's plug in -3. It's -3 plus 4 squared minus 3. We have to follow our order of operations. PEMDAS. So what do I do first? Parentheses. What's -3 plus 4? 1. And what's 1 squared? 1. And 1 minus 3? -2. So what did I plug in? -3, and I got -2. So the point that I'm going to graph is -3, -2. So I go to the left to -3, down to -2. So that's another point on my graph. Where do I have a third point? On the opposite side of the axis of symmetry. And then I just draw my parabola once I have 3 points. All right, let's look at number 8. So what's my vertex? +4, +2. You always have to change the sign of H. So 4, 2. What's my axis of symmetry? X equals 4. So let's graph that. We're going to go to the right 4 and up 2. And then my axis of symmetry goes right through it. Does my graph open up or open down? It opens up. So is my vertex the lowest point or the highest? The lowest. So do I have a max or min? Minimum. So I'm going to cross out maximum. Yes. And what's my minimum value? 2. It's always whatever your K is. 2. What's my domain? All real numbers. And what's my range? Awesome. 2, infinity. Because I know it opens up, so it's going to go up to infinity. Now I need another point on my graph. So what number can I plug in? I want to plug in something close to 4, so I'm going to plug in 3. So I have 3 minus 4 squared plus 2. So what's 3 minus 4 squared? 3 minus 4 is -1, and then -1 squared would be 1. And 1 plus 2? 3. So I plugged in 3 and got 3. So I'm going to go right 3, up 3. There's my second point. Where's my third point going to be? Same thing, but on the opposite side. And then once you have 3 points, you can draw your parabola. Any questions? All right, I'm going to skip 9 and let's go to 10. What is my vertex here?
3,
Awesome. 3, -3. Don't forget to change the sign of your h. So 3, -3. What's my axis of symmetry? X equals 3. It's always your h. Does my graph open up or open down? How do we know it opens up? Because A is positive, so that 2 is positive, so it opens up. So is my vertex at the max or min? It's at the minimum, so I'm going to cross out maximum. And what's my minimum value? -3. It's whatever your k is. What's my domain? All real numbers. And then what's my range? Awesome, -3 to infinity, because it points up, so it goes to infinity. It's always the y. So whatever your k is, and then if it goes up, it's to infinity. If it goes down, it would be -infinity to whatever your k is, or the y. So let's plot our points. We're going to go to the right 3, down 3. How do I find another point on my graph? Plug in a number close to our axis of symmetry. What's a number close to 3? 2. I can plug in 4. That would work too. But let's do 2. So I'm plugging in 2. So I have 2 times 2 minus 3 squared minus 3. You have to follow your order of operations. So what should I do first? 2 minus 3. So what's 2 minus 3? -1. What do I have to do next? What's -1 squared? 1. And what's 2 times 1? 2. Oh, this should be 3. There. And what's 2 minus 3? -1. So I plugged in 2 and got -1. So I'm going to go the right 2, down to -1. Do I know where another point on my graph is going to be? Same thing on the opposite side. And there's my graph. It opens up. So these are 4.2, so just like the homework we went over yesterday. What's that little formula that I need to know to find my axis of symmetry? Awesome. X equals -b over 2a. And then to find what a and b are, my equation is going to look like a times x squared plus b times x plus c. So whatever's in front of the x squared is your a, whatever's in front of the x is your b. We don't care about c. So in number 11, what's a? 2. And what's b? 12. So my axis of symmetry is x is equal to -b, which is 12, over 2 times 2. So -12 over 4. And how do I simplify -12 over 4?
-3.
Awesome, -3. So x is equal to negative 3 is my axis of symmetry. What's the first number in my vertex going to be? Negative 3. It's the same thing as your axis of symmetry. And how do I find the second number in my vertex? Plug it in for x. So I have 2 times negative 3 squared plus 12 times negative 3 plus 19. What do I do first to solve? The exponent. So what's negative 3 squared? Positive 9. So negative 3 squared is like saying negative 3 times negative 3. So that would be positive 9. So 2 times 9 plus 12 times negative 3 plus 19. What's 2 times 9? 18. And 12 times negative 3? Negative 36 plus 19. What is 18 minus 36? Negative 18. And negative 18 plus 19? 1. So my second number in my vertex is 1. Does my graph open up or open down? How do we know it opens down? It opens up. And how do we know it opens up? Because A is positive. So is my vertex at the maximum or minimum? It's at the minimum. And what's my minimum value? 1. It's always the same as the y in your vertex. So let's look at 13. So what's my A? Negative 2. And what's my B? Negative 4. Awesome. So A is negative 2. B is negative 4. What's the formula that I use? X equals negative B over 2A. So X equals negative 4 over 2 times negative 2. So what does that negative 4 turn into? Positive 4. And 2 times negative 2? Negative 4. And what's 4 divided by negative 4? Negative 1. So what's the first number in my vertex? Negative 1. How do I find the second number? Plug it in. So I have negative 2 times negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1. What do I have to do first? Exponent. So what's negative 1 squared? 1. So negative 2 times 1 minus 4 times negative 1. Next, I need to multiply. So what's negative 2 times 1? Negative 2. What's negative 4 times negative 1? 4. And negative 2 plus 4? 2. So I plugged in negative 1 and got 2. Does my graph open up or open down? It opens down because A is negative. Does that mean my vertex is at the maximum or minimum? It's at the max. What's my maximum value? 2. Any questions? All right, let's look at 14. All right, 14. So negative B over 2A. What's A? Negative 1. And what's B? 0. There is no B because we don't have an X. So how do I find my axis of symmetry? What do I plug in? What's the formula? Negative B over 2A. So negative 0 over 2 times negative 1. What happens when 0 is on top? Your whole answer is 0. So what's the first number in my vertex? 0. How do I find the second number in my vertex? Plug in 0. So I have negative 0 squared minus 8. What's 0 squared? And negative 0 is just 0. 0 minus 8? Negative 8. So the second number in my vertex is negative 8. Does my graph open up or open down? It opens down because A is negative. So is my vertex at the maximum or minimum? It's at the max. And what's the maximum value? Negative 8. Okay, let's look at 15. What's A? 1/2. And what's B? Negative 4. So my axis of symmetry is x is equal to negative b, so negative negative 4, over 2 times a, which is 1/2. So negative negative 4 turns into a positive 4. How do I multiply 2 times 1/2? So 2 over 1 times 1 over 2. And when multiplying fractions, what do I do? Multiply straight across. That's only when adding you need a same denominator. So this would be 2 over 2. And what does 2 over 2 simplify to? 1. So this would be 4 over 1. What's 4 over 1? 4. So it's the first number in my vertex. 4. How do I find the second number? Plug it in for x. So I have 1/2 times 4 squared minus 4, x is 4, plus 4. What should I do first? Exponent. So what's 4 squared? 16. What's 4 times 4? 16 plus 4. How do I multiply 1/2 times 16? Put 16 over 1, and then multiply the tops together and multiply the bottoms together. So this would be 16 over 2. What does 16 over 2 simplify to? 8. So I have 8 minus 16 plus 4. What's 8 minus 16? Negative 8, and negative 8 plus 4? Negative 4. So I plugged in 4 and got negative 4. Does this open up or open down? It opens up because A is positive. And then do I have a maximum or minimum? A minimum, and what's my minimum value? Negative 4. So for 16, what's our A? And what's our B? So our formula is x is equal to negative b over 2a. So negative negative 4 over 2 times 4. So 4 over 8. And what does 4 over 8 simplify to? 1 over 2. My axis of symmetry is x is equal to 1 over 2. And what's the first number in my vertex? 1 over 2. Same thing. How do I find the second number? Plug it in for x. So I have 4 times 1/2 squared minus 4 times 1/2 minus 19. So 1/2 squared is like saying 1/2 times 1/2. So multiply the tops together, we get 1. Multiply the bottoms together, we get 4. So this would be 1 over 4. How do I multiply 4 times 1/2? 4 over 1. So multiply the top, multiply the bottom. This would be 4 over 2 minus 19. What should I do next? Multiply. So how do I multiply 4 times 1 over 4? 4 over 1. So this would be 4 times 1 and 1 times 4. So 4 over 4. What does 4 over 4 simplify to? 1. What does 4 over 2 simplify to?
Negative 2. Oh, wait.
-2 and minus 19. So what's 1 minus 2? -1, and -1 minus 19? -20. So my second number in my vertex is -20. Does this open up or open down? It opens up because A is positive, and is my vertex at the maximum or minimum? It's at the minimum. And what's my minimum value? -20. Any questions? All right, 2 more. For 17, so here we just have to look at it, find where our vertex is, our axis of symmetry, and if it's a max or min. So what is our vertex? -1, -4, awesome. And then what's my axis of symmetry? X equals -1, perfect. And is it a max or minimum at that point? A minimum, and what's my minimum value? -4. All right, last one. What's my vertex? 1, -4. What's my axis of symmetry? X equals 1, and is it a maximum or minimum at that value? Minimum, and what's my minimum value? -4. Do you guys have any questions?